Okay, let's see. Broadcasting. And we are. Okay, so this is good. And let's see who all have joined us here. Sukumal Radhe Mataji is there. Vindhyavali Mataji is there. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams.
Dandavat pranams.
Dandavat pranams. Okay.
Thanks everybody.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam. Jai Shri Prabhupada. We are broadcasting on Facebook. Just wanted to let you all know.
Okay.
And we will get started now. So my famous question.
But it's the last verse of the 5th chapter.
5.29.
Yeah, imagine. We are finally finishing
Chapter 5.
When did we start? Does anybody remember?
But we should try to remember from now on.
I will put a mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so 5.29 is what you're saying. So coming up, verse 5.29, after these brief prayers to the spiritual masters. Om Jnānatimirandhasya Jnānāñjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Dvancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Go Premanande Hari Hari Bo. So coming up with verse number 29, and as you said, which is indeed the last verse of chapter number 5. And it says, bhoktāraṁ yajña-tapasāṁ sarva-loka-maheśvaram su-hṛdam sarva-bhūtānāṁ jñātvā mam śāntim ṛcchati. Bhoktāraṁ yajña-tapasāṁ sarva-loka-maheśvaram su-hṛdam sarva-bhūtānāṁ jñātvā mam śāntim ṛcchati. Bhoktāraṁ yajña-tapasāṁ sarva-loka-maheśvaram suhṛdam sarva-bhūtānāṁ jñātvā mam śāntim ṛcchati. Bhoktāraṁ. Bhoktāraṁ means the beneficiary. Yajña of sacrifices. Tapasām and penances and austerities. Sarva-loka of all planets and the demigods thereof. mahā-īśvaram, the Supreme Lord, su-hṛdam, the benefactor, sarva, of all, bhūtānāṁ, the living entities, jñātvā, thus knowing, māṁ, me, Lord Kṛṣṇa, śāntim, relief from material pangs, ṛcchati, one achieves. So what is tapasām?
Penances and,
Penance,
and austerities.
And
austerity.
austerity. Okay. And what is jñātvā?
Knowing.
Thus knowing.
And what is bhoktāraṁ?
The beneficiary.
Beneficiary.
And who is the benefactor?
The Supreme Lord.
The benefactor?
Suhṛdam.
Su-hṛdam. Correct. Okay. So since this is the last chapter of the last verse of the 5th chapter, let's quickly go through the 5th chapter. So 5th chapter is called Karma Yoga, Action in Kṛṣṇa Consciousness. Okay. So now it starts with Arjuna. It started with Arjuna's dilemma, where he's saying, first ask me to renounce work, because in 2nd chapter, Kṛṣṇa had said to him that, you buddhi yogam, you'd use your buddhi and do, surrender to Kṛṣṇa, bhakti. So like that he was saying. So he thinks he has to renounce his work. And then again in chapter 3, 4, he's saying, like, you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? The personality of God had replied, then he says that renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good in liberation, good for liberation, right? Not doing any work, that is also good, material work. And then you work, but in devotion to the Lord, both are good. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. So clearly he has cast the verdict here, right? And then he goes on, he says that only the ignorant speak of the devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who actually are learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of the both. Some might be fast, some might be slow, but they will ultimately reach the same destination. Right? Then he also says that, if a person, he's cautioning, and he's saying that if you merely renounce all activities and do not engage in the devotional service of the Lord, that cannot make one happy. Clearly, he has said that, right? Just you give up this, give up that, then you will not be happy. You will be actually morose because you have given up so much, right? So yet not engaging in devotional will not make one happy. Okay? But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. And then he goes on to say that, when you are working in devotion, then you will be controlling your senses. And then what happens when you start controlling the senses is that you become dear to everybody, right? And everyone becomes dear to him. So how do you think one who controls the senses becomes dear to everybody?
His behavior, his talking, and his once you control, it means anger and other things we controls. That's what, if anger, we always reply to everybody, that way we'll become enemy, not close to the person. So first is the anger.
Sorry.
Okay, anger is one, so one who is equipoised, right? Equipoised, so then he will be dear because knows, okay, or sometimes, when we are working, we have got a boss, and if you make a mistake, in some cases, then, some of the bosses just lose it, right? They give you left, right, and center, so they are not dear. But others who understand, who empathize, and who are forgiving, right? Because they're controlling their sense of anger at that. It's not that the other boss doesn't get angry. They get angry. They get upset inside, right? But they don't express it. So, yeah. So obviously they are dear to others. Sukomal Radhe.
Because such a person, he doesn't think of anyone being separate from Kṛṣṇa because he sees all living entities as the same.
So he sees all living entities as same. So what?
Not being separate from Kṛṣṇa. So then he he is dear to everyone and everyone is dear to him.
So because of what we are saying, that he sees everybody as children of Krishna, then that will lead to everybody being dear to him. Right? Everybody is dear to him because he sees everybody as part and parcel of Krishna, right?
Mm.
But the other thing is, how does he become dear to everybody? So one of the things is, because he's controlling his senses, then he is, his behavior is good. He doesn't get agitated. That in one way he'll be dear to everybody, right? Then asking for more examples on that, how else can somebody
These 4 principles, Mataji, that alcohol is also adds to that, and you don't know what we are doing. That sense is controlling, we have to control the senses. Then only you can be in your good sense. You don't lose your senses. When we, these 4 principles we have, that no alcohol, no illicit sex, like that. So those things, those senses, if you control, the person controls. That also helps to, mostly people say, oh, he's a nice person, well-behaved person, like that. So that's what heart sold.
Okay.
Controlling the mind and the senses. Controlling the mind and the senses without any deviation.
Yeah.
Who is in helping nature, he is also very dear to everyone.
Right. So what sense does he control by when he's of a helping nature?
Mm.
When you help others, how do you help others?
When someone in distress condition, or if they need any kind of help, if you can go there, maybe they are sick, so you can offer food, or you go and pay a visit.
Okay, so when you go there and pay a visit or cook, which sense are you controlling? Are you controlling something? Do you feel that you are controlling something? What is the other option?
You cannot help. You don't pay attention. Okay, the person is sick, so.
So let me put the question a different way. So if you have to go help somebody, then your options are that, like you said, you might cook something or you might drive and you don't go there, right? So, and I'm saying that if you don't help somebody, what are the other options? What else can you do? What else could you be doing if you didn't spend that time helping somebody else?
You can call and ask about.
No. I'm not asking for. See, calling and asking is, again, you are helping, right?
Okay.
My question is that what if that person is not helping? So you helped somebody from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and in that process you did something. I'm saying that from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, if you did not help him, what else could you have done in that time?
How about praying and just let it go and make it think you are just an instrument? But I don't know how it will help others like us.
Our prayers, Mataji.
We are not talking about help at all. We are talking about not helping.
We could have gone for shopping. We could have watched a movie, read books, listen music, do our household work, and don't think about.
So what sense? So what is it that you are sacrificing, or what is it that you're controlling? If instead of doing all this, you went and helped.
Your senses.
Shraddha Mataji is asking what particular.
Listen to the question. Now listen to the question I'm asking.
Mind.
What are you controlling? Yes, and what is it that the mind wants? That you are not.
Pleasure. He wants pleasure. Mind wants pleasure.
Mind wants what?
Pleasure.
Actually, mind
Yeah,
has
pleasure, a sense of enjoyment. You're giving up your sense to enjoy. Enjoyment can come by, I'm going to just relax on the sofa, I'm going to switch on the television, watch my favorite show, right? Or I'm going to go to the sauna, get a hand massage, like that, right? Instead of doing all that, or I'm going to take a nap, or I'm going to eat something, right? Like, for example, if there is a party, or even in the temple when there is prasadam time, right? Everybody goes and stands in the line and eat. Now somebody has to carry, somebody has to serve prasadam and all that. And then some people, they control their sense of eating, right? Enjoying the prasadam. And instead, they control that sense, the urge or hunger. And then they serve the prasadam till the end. And then in the end, you know, they eat, and the risk is there won't be any left for them, right? So people serve. Okay, so here, if you go back to the verse that the chapter 5 that we were looking at, right, while we were doing a recap. So we're saying such a person is dear to everyone. Obviously, that person will be very dear to everybody, right? If you go to somebody's home and you're invited for a dinner and you're like, okay, fine, no, let me come and help you in the kitchen. And after, let me come and help you wash the dishes. That person will be dear, right? You'll want to invite them again to your home. So when you are of a helpful nature, right? When you take care of others, you become dear to everyone.
Are you playing?
And everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. So you might see them, they're working very hard, but they are not, right? And then they said that, you know, text 8 and 9 talked a little bit about having the knowledge as to how all these things are happening around us, right? So when your consciousness is divine, which means that you are, you know, in touch with Kṛṣṇa, that's when your consciousness is going to get divine. How do you get in touch with Kṛṣṇa? By thinking about him. That's how you're touching, right? So when you are in that kind of a consciousness, when you know that I am the soul, I'm not this body. So although that same person, it doesn't mean that when you understand and you realize that you're the soul and not the body, that you stop eating or you stop sleeping or you stop smelling, you know, no. Your senses will all be there. That's why he's saying hearing, touching, smelling, you know, all that all these things that are going on, that he knows that, you know, okay, the soul is not doing anything. This is just the material senses. They are engaged in their objects and material nature, their rules of material nature, all that is happening, right? Like that, according to the rules. So when you are working in such kind of a situation and doing devotional service to the Lord, then you are like the lotus leaf, which is not touched by the water, although it stays in water all the time. Okay? And then it talks about here, a steady, this is important, text number 12 says, a steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled, right? It's very, very important to know that as soon as material energy is very, very entangled, very, very entangled. Then he continues on and he says that when the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he happily resides in his body, which they said was a city of 9 gates, right? Because there are 9 openings in this. Right? And then again, like I said, everything that the body does happens under the mode of the material nature. But then because, you know, we think that we are this body and we think that, you know, everything is happening because Lord is, you know, responsible for any sinful activities I do, any pious activity I do. It's not that, you know. They're just telling that Lord is aloof from all of this. Okay. So when you get advanced in knowledge, in bhakti, then all this knowledge will be revealed to you. And then very important thing is that your intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme. Right? So when this happens, when your intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all connected with Kṛṣṇa, you're using your intelligence, your mind, your faith is in Kṛṣṇa, your shelter is in Kṛṣṇa, then you will get cleanse of any doubts that you have in this world, right? And then you will continue on the path for liberation. And so this is a practice that we constantly do to put our mind, faith, and refuge in Kṛṣṇa. And as Sukuma Radhi Mataji had pointed out earlier also, that a person, you know, who is a devotee and who sees everybody equally, you know, everything looks like a same thing to him, and everybody is a friend to him, like that, right? So here also it's the same thing, that because you get the knowledge that it's just the soul is the same, it's just the outer covering or the body is different. So that's why a sage will see and understand when he sees a cow, elephant, dog, dog eater, or even an ant, they will see that it's just actually a soul which is inside this body. It's not that, it's the understanding. It's not that they will go and stand in front of a tiger, just saying, oh, just a soul and it's the outer body. No, they understand the dharma of a tiger. So, but intellectually, they do understand that there is a soul inside every body that we have. And then, so when you know that you are just a soul, you are aloof from this body, and everything that the body does and happens to the body happens under the modes of material nature, right? It's happening under the modes of material nature. The rules of material nature, they will apply, right? So then, when something unpleasant happens or something pleasant happens, we don't go to the other extremes of either being too happy or being too sad, like that, right? So, and then from 21 onwards, the verses started pointing out to the fact that we should start looking for happiness within and do not try to look for happiness outside. And then here they were saying, it's a very famous verse. It says, Adi antavanta kanteya nateshu ramte buddha. It says that, when you try to look for happiness outside and through your objects of your senses, then, remember that these kind of happiness will have a beginning and they will have an end. So do not feel very happy about it, because whatever you're feeling happy about, it's going to end like that. So be equipoised in that situation. And then we talked about the very famous verse that before Shaknoti Haiva Ya Śṛdhaṁ, that before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he's well situated and he's happy in this world, right? And we emphasized in this particular verse that when a person, it says before giving up this present body. So this means that, you check the forces of material anger and desire, and then you get another body, then you do the same, you get another body, then you do the same, right? And here in number 2, he's saying that one whose happiness is within, whose active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward is actually the perfect mystic. He's liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme. So this is a good one, right? That you will attain, ultimately you will attain the Supreme. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts and misgivings, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme. And in that context, we also talked about that what is the real welfare of the human beings? What is real welfare work? How can you do good to other people? Go ahead, Prashant.
By bringing them to Kṛṣṇa consciousness, giving them the real knowledge, which is the truth of life.
Correct, for 500 points. That is the only real benefit that you can bring to anybody, right? You can do other kinds of pious activities. You can distribute food to people. You can set up hospitals and things like that, right? That's going to relieve a little bit of their material misery for them, right? But they will continue in the cycle of birth and death. So the real benefit that you can do to anybody is to give Kṛṣṇa consciousness to them, so that they get out of this cycle of birth and death. So apparently on the top of it, it might not appear as if you have done something very great, we have done something very helpful like that, but that is the real help that we are giving to people, right? So that's why sometimes people point fingers at, those who take sannyas, and they were like, why did Prabhupada leave his family? He had kids, he had wives and things like that, but he did that for a higher purpose, right? And it's not that, and people are envious of Kṛṣṇa, so that's why they will always point out fingers like that, that for a higher purpose, why did Prabhupada do this? Why did he leave his family? But it's not that anybody who is not engaged in Kṛṣṇa conscious, they're all sitting with their family. It's not like that, right? Sometimes people, to get a better job, the wife and husband will separate. The husband will go some other place, the wife will live some other place, right? So they do that for a higher cause, what they think is a higher cause. And for them, the higher cause was that let's make some more money so that we can enjoy a little bit more, right? So that sense of enjoyment is there. Okay? But in the case of Srila Prabhupada, he had left everything for a higher cause. He wanted to go out and preach. And preaching was not an easy thing for him to do. Imagine Srila Prabhupada took sannyas, and the very next day he was gored by a bull. Imagine an old man being, hit by a bull. How does that feel? Right? And then he comes to America, has no money in his pocket, he knows nobody, things like that. So he's doing all that. It's not that he left his family and was enjoying with somebody else. He went for a higher purpose and underwent so many miseries and difficulties, right? 2 heart attacks on the way. It's not easy work like that, right? So here they are saying, this is always busy working for the welfare of all living beings. So that is the best welfare that you can do for anybody. And so you will achieve liberation. And then those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Right? And then the last week's 2 verses that we did together was shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and the vision concentrated between the 2 eyebrows, suspending the inner and the inward and the outward breath within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence. The transcendentalist, aiming at liberation, become free from desire, fear, and anger. One who's always in this state is certainly liberated, right? And we had also talked about that. Here just talking about Ashtanga Yoga and how you concentrate your eye, bring your mind to the focus between the 2 eyebrows. And in the 6th chapter, he will also ask you to focus on the tip of your nose, keep your eyes a little bit open and things like that, right? So basically, it is not the point where you're focusing, right? It's not the point where you're focusing is the real important thing. The real important thing is that after you start focusing on that, what is your real focus over there, right? So after you start to look at the tip of your nose, or you start to bring your mind in between your eyebrows, you have to start thinking about Kṛṣṇa. So that is the important thing to keep in mind. And when you do that constantly through the 8 processes that were described there, then you will become free from fear, desire, and anger, right? And then if you are there, always in this state, then you are certainly a liberated person, right? And then here, today's verse, Prabhupada is saying, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material desires. So let's go a little bit deep and look at Srila Prabhupada's purport. So here's the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The conditioned souls within the clutches of the illusionary energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world. But they do not know the formula for peace, which is explained in this part of the Bhagavad-gita. The greatest peace formula is simply this. Lord Kṛṣṇa is the beneficiary in all human activities. One should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord because he is the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereon. No one is greater than he. He is greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, Shwet Ashvatar Upanishad 6.7, the Supreme Lord is described as tam īśvaranam paramam mahēśvaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be lords of all they survey, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. The Lord is the master of material nature, and the conditioned souls are under the stringent rules of material nature. Unless one understands these bare facts, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world, either individually or collectively. This is a sense of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Lord Kṛṣṇa this is the sense of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. What is it? Lord Kṛṣṇa is the supreme predominator, and all living entities, including the great demigods, are his subordinates. One can attain perfect peace only in complete Kṛṣṇa consciousness. This 6th chapter is a practical explanation of Kṛṣṇa consciousness, generally known as Karma Yoga. The question of mental speculation as to how Karma Yoga can give liberation is answered herewith. To work in Kṛṣṇa consciousness is to work with the complete knowledge of the Lord as the predominator. Such work is not different from transcendental knowledge. Direct Kṛṣṇa consciousness is Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is a path leading to Bhakti Yoga. Kṛṣṇa consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Absolute Truth and Supreme Absolute, and the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Kṛṣṇa or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure soul is the eternal servant of God as his fragmental part and parcel. He comes into contact with Maya illusion due to his desire to lord it over Maya, and that is the cause of his many sufferings. As long as he is in contact with matter, he has to execute work in terms of material necessities. Krishna consciousness, however, brings one into spiritual life, even while one is within the jurisdiction of matter, for it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in the material world. The more one is advanced, the more he is freed from the clutches of the matter. The Lord is not partial towards anyone. Everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness, which helps one control the senses in every respect and conquer the influence of desire and anger. One who stands fast in Krishna consciousness, controlling the above-mentioned passions, remains factually in the transcendental stage of Brahma Nirvana. The eightfold yoga mysticism is automatically practiced in Krishna consciousness because the ultimate purpose is served. There is a gradual process of elevation in the practice of yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. So, yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi, what is they collectively called? What are the two words that describe these? Yam, niyam, asan, what is the word for that? We did that last week. How many are these? Count. Somebody was going to count?
8. The eightfold mysticism.
Eightfold.
What is that?
Kundalini, Ashtanga Yoga.
Ashtanga Yoga, correct. But these only preface perfection by devotional service, which alone can award peace to the human being. It is the highest perfection of life. Thus end the Bhakti-Vedanta purpose to the 5th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad-gita in the matter of Karma Yoga or action in Krishna consciousness. Okay, thoughts? Questions? Any reflections on what you heard so far?
Kindly repeat your question, Mataji.
My question is that any thoughts after hearing the purport from Srila Prabhupada?
Mataji, here it's written that to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities. Can you explain this line a little bit? Means beneficiaries of all sacrifices means
Mostly,
Okay.
what he did, what sacrifices that person have done. So he's going to get the credit for that, or means what
Okay.
does really means?
What does it really mean? Yeah, it's a very good question, and it's very important for us to understand what it means, right? So let us first see what a human being or what the soul does here in this material world, okay? So I'm going to go back and try to bring some verses from Bhagavad-gita, of course, and let's see from where do I get that. Here it is from the 2nd chapter. Okay. Let me bring it here and start sharing with you. Okay, so Bhagavad-gita 2.63. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshopajayate sanga sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate. So what is it saying? While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from that attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. So first, let's look at what does it mean to contemplate the objects of the senses. Give me the example of an object of the senses. Give me an example of any sense and tell me what is the object of that sense.
Nose.
Nose is a sense organ.
Smell.
Yeah, sense.
Smell.
Okay, and what is the object?
Any flower, food.
Food.
No, the object of smell is aroma,
Oh.
right? Sense of smell will capture different aroma. It can't capture colors, right? Your nose
Yeah.
can capture colors, right? Aroma to tell you smells, right? Okay, so how do you contemplate on that? How do you contemplate?
When any aroma comes in front, I mean, we come closer to it, that my nose is smelling, getting that smell. I would like to take that. I would like to go towards that.
Contemplating. What does contemplating the object of senses mean?
You're thinking about it all the time.
You are thinking
all the
about it,
time.
right? So you're thinking about, this is September, so the chameli flowers will be blooming and they smell very good, right? You're just contemplating on the sense objects of the senses, right? So when you start contemplating on these objects of the senses, when you start thinking about them, then you will think that, oh, let me go out and see, does anybody are they blooming anywhere? They're not in my home, or let me go to my garden like that, or let me order some from Hawaii, whatever, right? So I want it. So just by contemplating on it, now you have developed the desire or attachment for it, right? And once you develop the attachment to it, then you will want it. It's very nice, it's very nice, I want it, right? And I can go to any extremes to get it. I can steal it from my neighbor's garden. I can look online and spend hours and hours trying to see if I have a perfume that matches that smell, like rose smell or whatever, right? Like that. So when you contemplate on the object of the senses, you will get attached to the object of the senses. And from that attachment, you will now have a desire to possess it, right? And then the verse says here that after doing that, what happens? It says,
lust will develop.
Yeah, lust develops, and from lust what develops?
Anger. Growth.
So why is anger being developed? I mean, this was a very nice, sweet smelling flower, and I've been thinking about it, I'm attached to it, I want it. Why should anger be developed?
Because if you can't get it. If you can't get it.
Because I don't have that.
You don't have that.
Somewhere.
Right. So one is that, you didn't get it, so there is anger there, right? Even before you don't get it, you could just in general get angry with, why the hell am I here in this country where there are no flowers of that? So anger can come at any stage, not necessarily you didn't get it, right? Anger sometimes can also come just because you are contemplating, you are enjoying it in your head, and somebody came and said, hey, you have to do the dishes. And the anger comes. That's why you see teenagers respond like that, because they are in a dream world. And you break their dream, that's why they were like, like that. They don't like it. So then continuing on the verses of Bhagavad-gita, then the very next verse is 2.63. It says, Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vibhramaha, smriti brahmasat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. So from anger, complete delusion arises. Because now you're angry, you just don't know what to do. You're not even thinking properly now. And from delusion, bewilderment of memory. So now you're so deluded, you don't know what is right and wrong. Your memory will also fail. All the nice things that were stored in the memory, this is good behavior, that's bad behavior, all that will be lost. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is also lost, because intelligence needs some data to perform, right? And discriminate. So that sense of discrimination is gone. So intelligence is gone. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool, right? So so this is how we spend our time, right? This is how the soul behaves in the material world. How does it behave? Contemplates on the sense objects, right? Develops an attachment to them, has lusty desires to possess it. And then in the process, anger develops, right? And when anger develops, the memory is gone, bewildered, right? Intelligence is lost. He does actions that make him fall down again into this material world. Okay. Now, let's see what Kṛṣṇa told Arjuna further. Raga-dvesha vimuktastu vishayan indriyascharan atma vashe vidhyatma prasadam adhigacchati. So he's saying, but a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. Now, this is such an important thing, right? Action and aversion, attachment and aversion, we just saw in the previous verse that just by being attached, it will lead us to anger and then senses going out of control. But then he's saying through regulative principles of freedom. So this is such an interesting word combination that Kṛṣṇa is using. There is regulation, there are rules. Then where is the freedom? He's saying regulative principles of freedom, right? So how can rules and freedom coexist? Right? So what he's saying is that if you follow the regulative principles, right, then you will get freedom from the clutches of Maya. Because Maya controls you, your senses control you, right? So by regulating your senses, you will get constant freedom from this 24/7 kicks that we get from our senses. Do this, I want now, I want to see this, I want to eat this, I want to sleep now, right? Like that. So you will, then when you're free from all that, then you will get freedom there, okay? So then Kṛṣṇa goes further. And in 65, number verse 2.65, this is a very nice set of verses. Prasade sarva-loka-maheśvaram hanerasyo-pajayate prasanna-cetasyo buddhi paryavatishtate. For one thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon established. Right? And then he says in the next one who is not connected with the Supreme, that is in Krishna consciousness, can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. How can there be any happiness without peace? Do you agree that there can be no happiness without peace? Can we have happiness when we don't have peace?
True. It's absolutely true.
And why do you say that?
Mataji, peace of mind is one thing which is the most important thing in life. If you don't have peace, you will be disturbed throughout your life. For everything, you get angry.
Yeah, I'm looking for a concrete example in life, like or a situation where how can there be happiness without peace?
There cannot be any peace. There cannot be any happiness without peace. Mataji,
example. Asking for an example.
Nice, yeah, Mataji. I met a student of mine recently, and I said, why didn't you get married? And Mataji, she said, she gave a very, whether it was a correct answer or wrong, I don't know. But her decision was wrong or right, I don't know. But she said, I had a boyfriend, and I told, he came with a bouquet, and he felt that these flowers were not, I don't like these flowers. So he got angry and he threw the bouquet aside, and he got very angry. And this girl decided that a person who can get angry on the flowers, suppose I cannot satisfy him his desires, and how can he keep me happy, or how can I keep him happy? And she decided there and then that if flowers can give you anger, I can also give you anger. You will throw me away like you threw away the flowers. So I don't want to pursue with this relationship. So Mataji, I really felt very touched by her decision that that if a small thing cannot give him happiness, living long life with a person, how can we give him happiness? You see, there is a doubt always. So this was my understanding.
Yes, yes. And doubt will lead to not being peaceful, right? Because that nagging question will always be there. Is he going to be angry at me? Is he going to be angry? I'm cooking something. Is he going to be angry? So that's what, and that will lead to happiness at all, right? So when you're not in a peaceful situation, even if you want to try to go and try to enjoy, whatever was the point that was not giving you peace, that will return, because the mind will go back again and again, right? For example, if you have a problem in your mouth somewhere, some tooth is hurting, or there's something stuck between the two teeth in the mouth, right? Where does the tongue go?
To that place only all the time.
Where there's a problem, right? Similarly, the mind also keeps on going to that same place over and over again, like that. So the thoughts will still come back. For example, if somebody says, okay, let's go to the cinema, and you have an exam tomorrow, and you decide to go to watch the movie, right? And will you get happiness?
No.
Right? Why? Because there's no peace. And the back of the mind is saying, tomorrow's exam, you haven't studied, when you will, like that, right? So it's very important. And that's what Kṛṣṇa is saying over here, that one who's not connected with the Supreme, cannot have neither transcendental nor a steady mind. And if your mind is not steady, there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? Right? So he's pointing slowly. So as we now go deeper into these chapters, right? As we keep going into these chapters, and then we go back again and start connecting, you can see Kṛṣṇa's game plan. Right? Way back in chapter number 2 of the Bhagavad-gita, he's already telling him about peace. Now, what was the condition of Arjun? Was he in a peaceful situation?
Not in chapter 2.
Not in chapter 2, exactly right. As at that time, he's telling that, you're the leader, you have to be peaceful in the mind to be able to make strategic decisions and fight the war, right? But he's also saying that you have to be connected to the Supreme, which he ultimately did, and he won also. And won the war also, like that over there. But he has laid the foundations. He's saying over here that you have to be peaceful, right? And so here in our verse for today, which is 5.29, Kṛṣṇa is telling us a few things, right? And what are some of the things that he's saying? First starts with bhoktāraṁ yajña-tapasāṁ. And Sutapa Mataji, you have switched off the camera. I hope you're here, because we're about to answer the question that you asked.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, good. So I know, yeah. So bhoktāraṁ yajña-tapasāṁ. So he's saying that I am the beneficiary of all the sacrifices, right? So you were asking the question that what is it that a person does so that he gets the beneficiary, means ones who gets the benefits. Okay. For example, if I have some mangoes and I sell them and I give the money to Sukomal Radhe Mataji, then she's the beneficiary. She got it, right? That is what the beneficiary is. So the interesting thing is that here we are saying all the yajñas and all the tapas that you do, all the austerities you do, penances that you do, right? You just keep that in mind, that Kṛṣṇa is the beneficiary. Very, very powerful thing. Most of the times we are saying, okay, I'm going to chant 16 rounds because I'm going to go back to Godhead. I'm going to keep, fasting because I want to go back to Godhead, or I want some improvement. I, right? But this particular verse is saying, no, you have to change your way of thinking, and you have to say that those who are, whatever those activities that I'm doing, Kṛṣṇa is the ultimate beneficiary of all of them. right? So Sutapat, does that answer your question? Even if I'm chanting, Krishna is a beneficiary because chanting pleases him. Even if I sit down and read the Bhagavad-gita, it pleases Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Does that help? Okay. So it's not about our own benefits, right? It's not about our own, ourselves being benefit from there, right? And then here it says that, if I go back again, so bhoktāraṁ yajña-tapasāṁ sarva-loka-maheśvaram, right? Sarva-loka-maheśvaram. What do you think? Sarva means?
All.
All, right? And loka means?
Universe.
Loka.
Planets, no?
Planets. Yeah, right? So
Planets and
all
demigods.
planets, yeah, all planets. Sarva-loka-maheśvaram, the planets and the demigods that control those planets, right? In this context, like that, Prabhupada has translated. So sarva-loka-maheśvaram. Maheshwaram is Maha plus Ishwar. Ishwar means controller. So mahā-īśvaram means I am the controller. Okay? So we also have to remember that all these planets, etc., that are created, this is all material energy, right? This is all Maya.
Yes.
Okay. So not now, but in later, in chapter, 9th of the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna is going to talk about Maya and his relationship with Maya, right? But I'm going to share it right now. And it says, Maya dhakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat parivartate. So what it says, this material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again, right? So this Maya is producing everything. There are some rules that Maya puts forward, and then according to that, things are created and they are annihilated. The bodies are created, they are annihilated again and again. But who is her boss?
Maheswaram, sarva-loka-maheśvaram.
Under whom is the Maya working? Is working under my direction. Right? So Krishna has very clearly said that she's working under him, and that is what telling you the Maheshwaram. What more? Right? Sarva-loka means all the planets. What more is there in this Brahman? Right? It's so full of planets. Right? And planet means everything, planet and everything that is inside the planet. You see the river, the plants, the insects, the demigods, the human beings, everybody inside that, right? He's the Ishwaram. And why is he the Ishwaram? Because he created. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. In 10th chapter, he will say, everything comes from me, everything is my manifestation. Right? So that is why he becomes the controller. Because he created them, he will be able to control all these things. So in today's verse, Vyagani is saying, bhoktāraṁ yajña-tapasāṁ sarva-loka-maheśvaram. And then comes su-hṛd sarva-bhūtānāṁ. Right? Su-hṛd means heart. Su-hṛd, right? Su-hṛd means one who is your real friend, who really has a heart-to-heart connection with you, whose heart goes out for you. That is a su-hṛd. Right? So the interesting thing is that in this material world, we may have friends. Does anybody have a friend?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, right? So friends are there to help us. We call them, they're there. We talk to them, they're there, right? But then, sometimes a friend might say, oh, for Mataji's friend, the friend might just say, oh, my Prabhu has come home. I have to put my phone down. So they're gone. Right? And of course, like you can't be with your friend all the time. If it's 5 o'clock, they can come over, they can meet you 5 o'clock, they go back home. Or at some point of time, they go back home. They are there. Right? But who is it who is with you all the time?
Krishna.
Krishna, right? Krishna. So he is your real friend. And when you die, do your friends go with you?
Yes.
No.
No,
No, other friends don't go with us, but
Don't,
Krishna
right?
goes with us.
Right? But who
Krishna
goes
is
with you?
always with us.
Yeah. The Krishna accompanies the soul into another body that the soul might decide, right? So he's su-hṛd, he's a real friend, right? And let's take a story from the Krishna book this time. of how Kṛṣṇa helps. Right?
How unfortunate it is, Mataji, that he is so close to us and we never look at him and we never think that he is so close. Whenever any problem comes, it feels, we feel that I'm the doer and that I didn't do it properly, or I did it, so excellently, and still people did not recognize it. But we forget there is somebody else who made me.
Under whose direction. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you are on a yantra. You're on a machine which is being driven. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So I'm just taking this one. Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna retrieve a Brahmana's son. It has got 2 chapters over here. And I will just, 2 stories are there. So I'll just pick up one story. Once in Dwarka, a Brahmana's wife gave birth to a son who immediately died. The Brahmana took his son to the court of King Ugrasen and berated the king. This duplicitous, greedy enemy of Brahmana, which is the king, has caused my son's death by failing to execute his duties properly. The same misfortune continued to befall the Brahmana, and each time he would bring his dead infant's body to the royal court and berate the king. When the 9th son died at birth, Arjuna happened to hear the Brahmana's complaint, and he said, "My lord, I will protect your progeny, and if I fail, I will enter into fire to atone for my sin." Sometime later, the Brahmana's wife was about to give birth for the 10th time. When Arjuna learned of this, he went to the maternity house and enveloped it with a protective cage of arrows. Arjuna's efforts were to no avail. However, as soon as the child was born and began to cry, it disappeared into the sky. As the Brahmana profusely derided Arjuna, the warrior set off for the abode of Yamaraj, the king of death. But Arjuna did not find the Brahmana's son there. And even after searching throughout the 14 worlds, he could find no trace of the infant. Having failed to protect the Brahmana's son, Arjuna was now intent on committing suicide by entering the sacred fire. But just as he was about to do so, Lord Kṛṣṇa stopped him and said, now this is what a good friend does, right? Stopped him and said, "I will show you the Brahmana's son, so please don't despise yourself like this." Lord Kṛṣṇa then took Arjuna onto his transcendental chariot, and the 2 of them crossed over the 7 universal islands with the 7 oceans, passed over the Loka-lok mountain range, and entered into the region of dense darkness. You want to know more about these? Chapter 5, Canto 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Since the horses could not find their way, Kṛṣṇa sent his blazing Sudarshan discs ahead to pierce the gloom. Gradually, they came to the water of the causal ocean, within which they found the city of Lord Mahavishnu. There they saw the 1,000-hooded serpent Ananta, and upon him lay Mahavishnu. The great Lord greeted Sri Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna, saying, "I brought the Brahmana's sons here simply because I wanted to see the 2 of you. Please continue to benefit the people in general by exemplifying religious behavior in your forms of Nar and Narayan Rishi." So you see how to save his friend. Arjuna is Kṛṣṇa's friend, right? He's in the Sakya mode. So how to help his son, first prevent suicide and also to keep his name. Kṛṣṇa went all the way out to the outskirts of the universe, went all the way over there to Vishnu and helped. Are there some other examples of Kṛṣṇa helping? He's su-hṛdam.
But he helped Sudama, is it right?
Correct. Sudama was his childhood friend, right?
So when he came and he was very poor, he was thinking whether to go or not. But when he was with him itself, his house and everything was changed. His wife Sudama's wife has all the ornaments and everything. He himself couldn't find he was talked about that. So without telling, Kṛṣṇa did it, all that. So he helped his poorness, he helped for him.
He helped him, yeah. Who else did he help? Good.
Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj. How did he help Prahlad Maharaj?
By killing his father, because he was troubling him.
Yes.
So he helped him.
Who else did he help? Hey Govinda, Hey Gopal. Who sang this song? Hey Govinda, Hey Gopal.
Draupadi.
Draupadi, correct, for 500 points. So how did he save her?
He kept on providing the sari.
Sorry.
Right. All right, good. And was there any other time he helped Draupadi?
Hmm.
Mm.
What about Akshay Patra?
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mataji, Krishna helped me practically this time, Mataji.
Very good.
On Janmashtami, Mataji, I requested that I don't know, I mean, after this, I will never get a chance to serve. So I requested the person who was doing this, means arranging everything. I requested her, give me some service this time. So she gave me the service to give the pavitra, those who come for the what do we call it, Mataji, when we give the, I mean,
Abhishek?
Abhishek. Yes. So I was giving the pavitra and putting rose water on them. So this was my duty on the gate. So I was doing that, and that day I decided, I don't know whether I will be alive in the next Janmashtami or not. Tell me, I mean, I'll keep Janmashtami without water or Nirjala Ekachi. Mataji, I tell you, I have never done it. This is the time I did it. I didn't feel hungry. I didn't feel thirsty. I was there continuously from 2 o'clock till 6 o'clock serving, and I did not get tired. I didn't feel anything. Mataji, I cannot do it. He is the only who made me do it.
Correct.
I cannot. I have no strength to do that. I get tired after half an hour working in the kitchen.
Correct. Yeah. Energy comes from Krishna. So to understand and to realize, once you realize that bhoktāraṁ ञतपस sarva-loka-maheśvaram, su-hṛdam sarva-bhūtānāṁ, right? Yajña mam śāntim ṛcchati. So he's su-hṛdam sarva-bhūtānāṁ. He's everybody's friend, and he's also equal to everybody. Is also equal to every. Sammoham sarva-bhūteshu name desho asti na priya. He says that in the 9th chapter. And then, according to how you approach Krishna, he will reciprocate accordingly. If you are a deep bhakta of Krishna, he will reciprocate. You had that strong desire to serve Krishna and do something for him, right? Then he reciprocated and gave you the strength to keep the vrat for full time, right? For full day, like that. So he does that. And then we also see that in the Upanishads, there is the story of the 2 birds that are sitting.
Yeah.
Okay? The 2 birds that are sitting on a tree. So the tree is our body. One of the birds is just eating every fruit, jumping from branch to branch, eating different kinds of food, sometimes suffering, sometimes happy. And the other one is just looking. And the moment the first bird turns its face towards the other bird, that's when it takes control, right? So you can congratulate yourself that you have turned your face towards Krishna, which is a very important step. And once we turn the face towards Krishna, and once we start looking towards Krishna, then Krishna will take 10 steps towards you to help you, like that, right? So we are talking about Krishna as friends, right? Now, tell me, social media. Social media also has friends. Give me an example of social media where there's a concept of friends.
Facebook, Mataji, too many friends.
Facebook, right? Yeah. So in Facebook, you know, Ola, that person has got 5,000 friends. Oh, that person, Facebook puts a limit on, can't have more than so many friends. And I have that, oh, that person has only 2 friends, 3 friends, right? So, and then, oh God, if somebody unfriends you, and the number goes down, right? How bad we feel, and the misery that we feel from losing a friend on Facebook, I think, is much more than the joy that you had in getting them in the first place, right? So we are looking at false friendship in this material world. We should actually be looking at the real friend to see that, you know, this is, you look at the, not the social media, you look at the spiritual media, right? And that there is Kṛṣṇa. And then, and like you are saying that when you connect with Kṛṣṇa, that there is a purification in your heart, there is a happiness in your heart, right? So once you realize this fact that for me, the best thing that can happen is to be friendly with Kṛṣṇa. Once you realize that, to become friends with Kṛṣṇa, to do things as you would do to a friend and not to an enemy. Because when we actually behave in a very inimical way, although you might not say that I am Kṛṣṇa's enemy, but every time we try to enjoy without Kṛṣṇa, we are behaving like his enemy, because we are just saying that we are the controllers. We are not the controller, right? So as soon as we understand that being friendly with Kṛṣṇa is the best thing and the right thing to do, because of this reason, why? Bhoktāraṁ ञtapasāṁ, whatever I do, he's the one, he's the beneficiary. Do not put your head on the results. So when you don't put your head on the result, half of your misery is gone already. Peace is already starting to descend on you, right? Bhoktāraṁ yajña-tapasāṁ, sarva-loka-maheśvaram. He owns everything. So then that gratitude will come, right? And also when you know that he owns everything, then you will not like to, you know, harm anything else which is there in the universe around you, right? Because how can you say that I am Kṛṣṇa? Hey, Kṛṣṇa, you are my friend, right? And then your friend's child, suppose in your real life, your friend's child is there, your friend is away, and you keep your friend's child at home. And then when Kṛṣṇa comes and says, where is my child? And you say, I ate him. You don't do that, right? So when you realize that Kṛṣṇa is the controller of everything, owns everything, then you will automatically go towards no meat eating, right? So automatically, you know, Shanti will descend not only here, but on a lot of others as well, because the slaughterhouse business generates a lot of consequences, a lot of heat, a lot of, you know, bad things come out of that. So you will do that. And so I really like to have a friend from Kṛṣṇa and a like from Kṛṣṇa. So once you get that understanding, then you will get Shanti. And the Shanti, once you get the peace, then you'll also get the happiness, because Kṛṣṇa says in chapter number 2 that without peace, how can you get happiness? So he's slowly telling you that, okay, first step, get peace. Make peace. Yeah. Understand your position. What is your relationship with Kṛṣṇa? You are das, dasanudas. That's what your relationship is, right? Eternal servitor, eternal, always. Not that like a Mayavadi, I will use Kṛṣṇa to realize that I am Kṛṣṇa and then abandon Kṛṣṇa and stop doing any devotional service, because what's the need for me to do devotional service? I am God myself. Like that. Varshana Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, one question comes to my mind. Haridas Thakur was chanting the holy name of the Lord, and the prostitute was sent by the king to delude him. And she kept coming for 3 days, and on the 4th day, finally, she started chanting herself. And Haridas Thakur said that I knew this was the plan of the king. I knew it, and so I'm not angry with him. I was thinking of leaving this place, but I didn't leave this place because I felt that you have come and I have to deliver you and I have to bring you to the right path. Mataji, when this woman, after doing so many things which were not to be done, will her all bad doings will be washed away by chanting the holy name of the Lord afterwards, or she will have to go through the karmas which she has done?
Good speculative question. One of the things to keep in mind in bhakti is don't go down the speculative route, right? What happened to her, what will happen, it will be a case-to-case basis. Who knows who is that prostitute, right? Maya came in the garb of a prostitute. So this is all drama also, high drama also happens, right? Arjuna falling into delusion, you don't know, right? Having said that, the name of the holy name is very, very powerful. That it can deliver you from more sins than you can commit. Right? More sins that you can commit. So that she's there sitting and chanting. She chanted, right? After that, she gave up everything, her jewelry, everything, gave her hair and sat down, right? And she did
because
that.
he told her to go and give away all your property, prosperity to the Brahmanas, so that it can be used for the right cause.
Correct.
And
correct. Yeah, and then we also hear in Brahma Samhita, Yasta Indra Gopa Mathavenda Hosa Karma, right? Karmani. So it says that right from Indra Gopa all the way to Indra, everybody's bound by the karmic reaction. So you do bad, you will get bad in return. But then the third line says, Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. So devotional service can destroy even the reactions of sinful acts. That is the power of the holy name of the Lord. So that is why they say, keep on chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, right? So just have faith. Just have faith that you will have, by doing devotional service, you will be relieved. And there's a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 2.62, and let me bring that up. It's a very famous verse, much quoted and much repeated. And here it is. Shraddha-shabde vishwas kahe, su-hṛdam nischoy, Kṛṣṇa bhakti koila sarva karma krita hoy. Shraddha is confident, firm faith that by rendering transcendental loving service to Kṛṣṇa, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. Such faith is favorable to the discharge of devotional service. So no need to speculate what's going to happen to the sins that I have committed, right? We don't know who we were in the previous births, right? What is that backlog that's going to hit me? No. Shraddha shabde vishwas kare, su-hṛdam nischoy, Kṛṣṇa bhakti karle, right? So have that faith. And how will you get that faith? You will get that faith from associating with people who have faith. Strong faith. From there, you will get like that. Okay. So don't worry about Chintamani. Kṛṣṇa will take care. Kṛṣṇa will take care. That's the attitude of the devotee. Kṛṣṇa will take care.
Apart from Chintamani Mataji, we have committed so many mistakes in our lives before coming to Kṛṣṇa consciousness. I don't know what all we have done. Janma Mataji tells me, on her birthday, everybody was appreciating, and she says, don't do that. I'm carrying a lot of baggage on my shoulder. So she says, she tells very clearly that what all we did in our young age, we didn't know whether it should be done or not. But today, she is on such a level, on a higher platform, that everybody in Mataji, at least in Pune, those who know her, they really worship her, Mataji.
So she is worshipable, and as you can see, this is a trait of a devotee, that although the whole world worships her, she is saying, Masama Patita Prabhu, Nahi Tribhavane. Right? Because they see a little speck of, whatever they did in the past, and they are lamenting. However, we have to remember, Narayana Parasarve, Na Kutaschina Bhivati, Swarg Apavarga Narkeshu, Apitulyata Darshina. So that means is that if you are a devotee of the God, you don't care. You don't care about that, whether I am suffering or whether I am enjoying. You suffer because of your sins, your karmic reaction. So all that they want is in this place or that place, like Prahlad Maharaj, you throw him into a snake pit and he's chanting the names of the Lord. You throw him from a mountain, he's chanting the name of the Lord, right? He's in that consciousness, complete Krishna consciousness. So a devotee is not bothered about, what happened in the past, what's going to happen in the future. Krishna is going to take care. And his only prayer, right? With Asura's prayer I recited last time. Ham hare tav padaya kamula dasanu daso bhavitasmi bhuya manah smareta shupater gunamste vinita kavak karma karotu kayaha. So all that the devotee is desiring is that when I die, all that I want in my next life is association of das, 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 and das, so that I can serve that person. And then I can glorify you with my mind, body, mind, and my words. So otherwise, if you sit down and start thinking all that we have done in our lives, we'll be in a miserable condition, right? So that should not be an aim that, oh God, please dissolve everything. It says that in Brahma Samhita. Didn't you say that to Brahma? That's why Brahma is saying this. And so, okay, please dissolve that. No. And Prabhupada says, where in Ishopanishad it says, Avayar anilam amritam atedam bhasmantam shariram om kritosmara, 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 kritam smara. It says that, when about death, he's saying when my life air is merged into the air and, earth is merged into earth and so on and so forth. He's saying, please remember what I've done for you. Because he says that my mind will be so upset that I might not remember even you. So you please remember all that I have done. The prayer is going, a desperate devotee is saying that. And then the Purport Prabhupada says that, if you have done devotional service to Krishna throughout your life, Krishna will make sure that you remember him. So that's the kind of a faith. That is Shraddha sabde vishwas kare su-hṛdam nishchay. That is faith. So that's why Adav Shraddha. It begins with Shraddha. It begins with faith. Devotional service begins with faith that Krishna will do it for me. And you might not have very strong faith in the beginning, but the faith will become strengthened from a banana tree. It will become a banyan tree, very thick, cannot be moved, cannot be pushed, and things like that, right? So don't worry, Varshana Mataji. Keep doing your devotional service. Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. So I'll stop.
I also have one realization, Mataji, in
Oh,
this
go ahead,
karmas.
please. Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
so I was thinking, like, since we are in the process of devotional service, and if bad things, like according to our karmas come, it doesn't affect also. That I have seen in my life, like when I was this year, like I was the worst, going through all everything negative, and then I feel so much strength I got from spiritual, because I just surrender now. From so long years I feel like there was missing something, and it gave me so much strength, and I was so busy that all the like everyone, I feel like everyone is against me. And it gives so much strength, and I feel so inner peace and happiness because I was connected to Krishna consciousness. And I didn't feel even, oh, this is my bad days or anything. So we are very fortunate that we are into Krishna consciousness. And Krishna, whatever he will do, it will be best for us.
Thank you so much. And let me, on that note, ask a couple of questions to the students. So what is zoology?
Study of animals.
Okay. What is biology?
Plants, study of
Plants and humans.
Right. Okay. What is teleology?
Never heard of it. Did you make it up, Shraddha Mataji?
That one, huh?
Huh? You want to Google to find out whether I'm making it up or not. Okay. So coming up, meaning of teleology, right? Teleology, the explanation of phenomena. The explanation of phenomena in terms of the purpose they serve, rather than of the cause by which they arise. The explanation of phenomena in terms of the purpose they serve, rather than the cause by which they arise. this is very, very powerful and exactly in line with what Garima Mataji shared. Right? So sometimes what happens is that life doesn't seem to be logical, especially when you say, why do bad things happen to good people? Why are bad things happening to me even after initiation? Right? So life is actually teleological. Our lives are, remember, teleological. So what you have to keep that in mind is that teleology means things are phenomena that are happening for a particular purpose. Okay? So life is teleological. Anything that happens in your life is meant for a particular purpose. And what is that purpose? Final purpose? Atato Brahma Jigyasa. That final purpose in life is to do Jigyasa of the Lord and to have spiritual evolution. That is the purpose of our lives. Now, towards that end of having a spiritual evolution, as soon as the little bird, among the two birds that were there on the tree, as soon as the little bird turns its face and starts looking at the other one starts controlling. Because now you have surrendered, right? So sometimes in your life, Kṛṣṇa is going to arrange certain things in life, which at that time might appear to be cannot connect it with a cause. This man, this woman, this devotee never did anything wrong. Why is this happening? Right? Because it is driven towards a purpose, towards a goal. Life is teleological. Whatever happens in our life ultimately is meant for our spiritual evolution. Right? And as soon as we know that, and this ties to our verse someplace, su-hṛdam sarva-bhūtānāṁ. To understand, otherwise we say, why is Kṛṣṇa doing this to that person? Why is Kṛṣṇa doing this to me? When you understand that he's a su-hṛd, he's a friend. So sometimes the friends will also become very strict with you, right? Because they want you to be on the right line. They want the ultimate peace and the ultimate happiness with you. So that's why, life can sometimes be very, very bad. And because of that bad life, you will turn to Kṛṣṇa. And it will be a slow process when you surrender ultimately. As Garima Mataji said, in the beginning, I was not surrendering. Everybody was against me. If everybody was not against her, she would have been happily, somewhere else today. On a Saturday, on a Friday night. Right? So that is what we are. Remember, the reality is that we are souls and we cannot enjoy independent of Kṛṣṇa. We try to do that. We don't have that sense of surrender in us and we suffer. As soon as we are connected to Kṛṣṇa, then things will be good. For example, this is our body, right? And it's got so many parts are there in the body. They all have to coexist together. Right? So there's a story where, the limbs, the eyes, the nose, the limbs, legs, right? All those were very unhappy. Like, why does the food go to the stomach? So they all talked amongst each other and they said, okay, let's protest. We will not put any food to the stomach. So the leg said, I won't bring the plate. The hand said, I won't lift the plate. I won't put the food in the mouth. The mouth said, I will not swallow. And then they formed a union and they were shouting, Murdabad, Murdabad, this is stomach, Murdabad, as they do, right? So they started doing that. One day, day one, they were very vocal. Day two, in standing like that, right? Day two, they were vocal, but they sat down. Day three, they could not speak. Day four, they realized and said, let's put some food in the stomach. It's the same thing here, right? You have to connect with Kṛṣṇa, right? Without Kṛṣṇa, you cannot enjoy. And he's the best friend. He says that. su-hṛdam sarva-bhūtānāṁ. I'm the best friend. Sometimes as a best friend, I might tweak your arms a little bit, but it's for the ultimate good and it's for the ultimate purpose. If you don't connect things with Kṛṣṇa, their purpose will be lost, they will be miserable. For example, this little finger that I have over here is connected to my body. It gets its nourishment. You put food in the stomach, but ultimately the finger also gets nourished, right? If I cut off this finger and put it aside, what's going to happen to the finger?
Don't worry.
Right? So that's what happens to us. When we cut ourselves away from Kṛṣṇa, then we become like that little finger. It'll shrivel. But if you get connected back, then you flourish. Right? And that's when you will get your real happiness. Real happiness will not come from moving away. So you understand that, just as all the limbs in that story understood that they have to go to the stomach, they have to put the food in the stomach. Bhoktāraṁ, yajña-tapasāṁ, all the yajña that you're doing, he is the ultimate beneficiary. All the food that you're putting in your stomach, ultimate beneficiary is there. But by doing that and by thinking like that, you will also benefit. Right? So just you have to worship the Supreme. Right? Narad Muni also says, yatha karor mula nishechinena, right? Just as we water the roots of a tree, then all the limbs and the twigs and the branches and the leaves will get nourished. Similarly, you just worship the Lord and he will take care of everything. So once he's taking care of everything, you are surrendered, as Garima Mataji was explaining, then life will be happy. Surrender. And also remember that as you are endeavoring in your Krishna consciousness, there'll be days when you'll be like, oh, I've chanted so much. Where is Krishna? Krishna is not in my reach. Krishna is not within my reach. What do I do? But remember one thing, you are not beyond Krishna's reach. Krishna may be beyond your reach, but you are not beyond Krishna's reach. Krishna can come and help you from anywhere, anytime. Right? The Draupadi case, 2 times like that, Once he was there, once remote, he comes there. Like that. So have that faith. Krishna bhakti karle sabha karma krita hoye. Have that faith that if I do devotional service to the Lord, everything else is going to fall in place, right? So let that be your prayer tonight as you go to sleep, that Krishna, please give me some more bhakti. I need your help.
It's true.
Thank you so much, Mataji. I need the permission to leave.
It's time for Sudapa to leave and have her dinner. She really doesn't eat till 10:30 in the night, which to be able to attend this class. So really appreciate that. She does it for Krishna, right? This is a classic example of how we don't satisfy our senses, but satisfy Krishna's senses. So really appreciate that. Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm also leaving.
I think we all should leave. It's 7:30.
I'm also leaving.
All right. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kipasindubhyevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari. Thank you, Shraddha Mataji.
Thank you,
Very
Mataji.
fantastic
Very
class.
nice.
Thank you,
Very
Mataji.
good to see you.
Wonderful, as always.
Yeah. Hari
Oh,
Bol.
actually, I also wanted to let you know that I'll be giving the class
On
Yeah.
Sunday.
on Sunday.
I know.
It'll be too early for you. No, I'm talking to Varshana. It'll be too early for you, but we'll record. Yeah, we'll record.
What
And
time?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
is
yeah.
the time, Mataji? What is the time?
it's 4
It's-
a.m. your time.
Mm.
4 a.m.
But it's
Okay.
recorded.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying. Don't
still
worry.
can do later.
Yeah.
And also, Mataji, next Friday there won't be class, right? It's Radhashtami.
No, yes.
No, Friday is Radhashmi.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Radhashmi,
Okay.
they'll be celebrating in the evening, right?
Yeah, that's why.
All right then. Radhe Jaya Jaya
Jaya
Madhava.
Madhava Jayate. Hare Krishna.
So we're done with pranams, and Meera Mataji, I'll just talk to you for a few minutes.
And then Shraddha Mataji, I just had a very quick question that I keep getting emails from VDA that I have to join Facebook, but I don't have Facebook and I don't want to join Facebook just for
Fine, you
VDA.
can ignore those emails.
So it's okay to ignore, right, Mataji?
Yeah, it's absolutely okay to ignore, or you can also respond back and say that for various reasons.
But then
I-
for many
those-
times they say don't reply to this email. That's why I'm confused.
That's fine, doesn't matter. That doesn't
Okay.
matter. Yeah,
Okay.
this is more for those who are away. I mean, if there's a disciple sangha, you'll always see it, right? Here locally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Meera Mataji, I'll